Welcome back to SSB Simplified, the one-stop destination for all your SSB interview preparation. Today, we are going to cover an important lecturette topic that has frequently been asked in SSB interviews. Today, we are going to understand the tax reforms, a journey through India's fiscal revolution. For better understanding of the topic, I have divided it into different parts. First, we will cover the introduction, then understand the history in the tax reforms of India. Then we will understand the current tax system, then the proposed tax reforms and challenges implemented by tax reforms. Then we will conclude the topic, and at the end, I have prepared a lecturette for you guys, which you can directly use in your SSB interview. Now, introduction. Tax reforms have been hotly debated topic in India for several years now. With the country's rapidly growing economy and increasing need for revenue, there has been a growing consensus that the current tax system needs to be reformed. However, tax reforms can be complex and contentious issue with stakeholders on all sides of the debate. In this presentation, we will dwell into the history of Indian tax reforms, examine the current tax system, discuss proposed reforms, and explore the challenges may face in implementing these reforms. Now, why is tax reform so important? Put simply, taxes are the lifeblood of any government. They fund essential services like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Without a stable and efficient tax system, governments cannot provide these services effectively. Tax reforms can also help to promote economic growth by reducing the burden of taxes on businesses and individuals, and making them easier to invest and create jobs. In short, tax reforms are critical for ensuring the long-term prosperity of any country. Now, the history of tax reforms in India. In the early years of India's independence, the tax system was highly inherited from the British colonial era. The taxes were high and complex, with a focus on revenue generation rather than social welfare. In the 1950s, the government introduced a taxation system that aimed to promote economic growth and development by providing incentives to businesses and individuals. In the following decades, there were several major changes in the tax system, including the value-added tax in the 1980s and the implementation of goods and service tax in the 2017. These reforms aim to simplify the tax system and reduce corruption by eliminating multiple layers of taxation. Now, the current tax system in India. The current tax system in India is a complex web of different types of taxes that are levied at various levels of the government. At the national level, there are direct taxes such as income tax and corporate tax, and indirect taxes such as goods and service tax and custom duty. State governments also levy their own taxes such as value-added tax and entertainment tax. One of the key features of the current tax system in India is its multiple layers of taxation. For example, GST is levied on top of existing state-level taxes, which can lead to cascading effect and increase in overall tax burden for businesses. However, the government has taken steps to simplify the tax system by introducing measures such as e-filing and online payment of taxes. Now let us understand the different proposed tax systems. The proposed tax reforms in India aim to simplify the tax system and make it more efficient. One of the key changes in the introduction of a simple goods and service tax is to replace multiple indirect taxes. This will streamline the tax collection process and reduce compliance costs for businesses. Another proposed reform is the reduction of corporate tax rates to encourage investment and boost economic growth. However, there are concerns that this may lead to loss of revenue for government and widen the fiscal deficit. Additionally, some experts have suggested that the proposed reforms may not go far enough in addressing issues such as tax evasion and corruption. Now, the different challenges in implementing these tax reforms. One of the major challenges that India may face in implementing tax reforms is resistance from taxpayers. Many people are used to the current tax system and may not be willing to change their behavior. For example, if a new tax is introduced, some taxpayers may try to find ways to avoid paying it or simply refuse to comply. This can create a lot of problems for the government and make it difficult to enforce the new tax. Another challenge is administrative hurdles. Implementing tax reforms requires a lot of coordination between different governments and agencies. It can be a slow and cumbersome process, especially if resistance is within the government. In addition, there may be technical challenges such as updating computer systems, training staff in new procedures, and all these factors make it difficult to implement tax reforms in a timely and effective manner. In conclusion, tax reforms in India has a long history and crucial for India's economic growth. We have discussed the major changes that have been made over the years, as well as the current tax system and proposed reforms. While there may be challenges in implementing these reforms, it is important to remember that these have the potential to benefit all citizens of India. As responsible members of society, we must support tax reforms in India and encourage our fellow citizens to do so as well. By doing this, we can help create a fairer and more transparent tax system that promotes economic growth and benefits everyone. Now gentlemen, before we move forward towards the lecturette, I request you all to subscribe to the channel so that you are always updated with our recent videos. Now the tax reforms in India. Ladies and gentlemen, today I stand before you to discuss an important topic that affects each and every one of us, tax reforms. Especially, I will shed light on the current tax system in India, the proposed tax reforms, challenges in implementing the tax reforms, and finally offering a concluding thought on the matter. Let us begin with understanding the current system in India. The Indian tax system is complex with multiple tax laws and regulations. It consists of direct tax such as income tax, corporate tax, and indirect taxes such as goods and service tax, GST. While the system aims to ensure a fair distribution of the tax burden, it is not without its flaws. The current system often leads to confusion, lengthy procedures, and a heavily compliance burden for individuals and businesses alike. Now, recognizing the need for change, the government has proposed tax reforms to simplify the system and make it more efficient. One of the key proposed reforms is the introduction of a single unified tax code that merges various taxes into a comprehensive tax structure. This move aims to streamline the tax system and reduce complexity, making it easier for taxpayers to understand and comply with their obligations. Additionally, the proposed reform seeks to lower tax rate and could potentially stimulate economic growth and encourage investment. However, implementing tax reforms is not without its challenges. One of the primary hurdles is resistance to change. The current tax system has been in place for many years, and any attempt to modify it is likely to face opposition from various stakeholders. Moreover, implementing tax reforms requires a robust infrastructure, including technological systems capable of handling large-scale data processing and efficient tax administration. Building such infrastructure takes time and can pose a challenge. Furthermore, ensuring a smooth transition from the current system to the reformed system is very crucial. Any sudden disruption or confusion, including the implementation phase, have adverse effects on businesses and individuals. Therefore, careful planning, effective communication, and an adequate support mechanism must be in place to address any teething problems that may arise. In conclusion, the tax reforms are necessary to simplify the current tax system in India and make it more efficient. The proposed reforms aim to streamline the system, reduce complexity, and lower tax rates. However, implementing these reforms will not be without its challenges. Overcoming the resistance to change, building necessary infrastructure, and managing a smooth transition are crucial for successful implementation. It is imperative for all the stakeholders, including the government, businesses, and every individual, to collaborate and work together to ensure the success of tax reforms. By doing so, we can create a tax system that is fair, transparent, and conducive in economic growth. Let us embrace these reforms as an opportunity to build a better future for ourselves and future generations. Thank you. Lastly, thank you for watching, and if you learned something new, like the videos and make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you never miss relevant updates. Also, check out our other videos and feel free to comment down any suggestions on how we can improve our content.